Welcome, everyone, to another Power podcast brought to you by Chief. Today, we have two co-founders in the studio with us from UnlimitIT, Dewald du Plessis and Chris Visagie. Hi, guys. Want to say hello?
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Dennis, and thank you very much for the opportunity to just have a very interesting discussion with you guys this morning.
Fantastic, man. You've got an interesting logo in your background. What's that about?
Yeah, so we actually got more than one. The whole idea about it is our logo keep on changing, and it's all around this the unlimited or infinite way of how the industry just kind of changed and technology changed, and so yeah, we keep on changing our logo actually on an ongoing basis. So this is one
Unlimited
of those
logos.
Unlimited logo, indeed, yes.
Fantastic. I took the time to look at your website, and in there you say you've got a very deep belief that service management is the cornerstone of digital transformation. Now, people have clicked on this thumbnail, they've read the title. Why should they hang about and listen to you for the next couple of minutes?
No, it's it's really. There's a lot of things going on in the market at this point in time. AI being a big disruptor, also a huge opportunity. And I think one need to kind of embrace these changes. I think COVID has learned us a lot, and now you can operate outside of your comfort zone. And yeah, there's a couple of things in industry, especially quite close to enterprise service management, which one really should take advantage of.
Excellent. Chris, you want to add to that?
No, I think Dewald hit it on the head. I would say for people to stay on the podcast is a part of the conversation on how do we present it is, why do you choose to fail? If you've got all of these technologies and all of these best practices coming to the fore to support businesses, especially if we look at, how businesses achieve or manage their bottom line.
That's deep. Chris, someone whispered to me that you're a bit of an author and a writer. You've written some books. You want to care to share with us a bit about that?
Yeah, I've done that. It's not published yet. So I'm still getting to the point that I need to publish them. So they're all still in let's call it a draft phase. But yeah, it's part of my passion is, to share knowledge, to assist other people in understanding and maybe sharing a little bit of what I know, as well as, I've delved my fingers in fiction. So I'm trying my science fiction more specifically. So yeah, hopefully soon I'll start publishing them, and then you can go and get these books.
That's excellent. The beauty of leaving it unpublished is that no insults come your way.
Indeed.
What's one of the insults that you are most proud of in life?
So this is a thing that's come a bit from our customers that know me very well. They always, especially some of them, say I like to stir or create some chaos. And the idea behind that is not to be, mean about it, but it's to create a mechanism or a means of getting people out of the comfort zone to look at a situation, and it creates situations of change and innovation that assist organizations going forward. And I'm quite proud of that area that they call me.
Excellent. Dewald, not to embellish upon your great looks over here, you look like a very young man for a co-founder. What would your parents describe your job as being? What would they say you actually do?
Well, our parents is kind of really more on the elderly type side. I think other than the initial kind of description of, just something to do with computers type of stuff, they would describe me as an entrepreneur. I love starting businesses. I love change. I love to talk to other people, getting involved in taking their ideas and creativeness to the market.
Fantastic. I think we're going to have a really good chat today. For our audience, I think they'd be very keen if we can maybe just reflect a little bit on the trends that we are picking up currently in the industry. It's dynamic. things are moving very fast. We've seen the launching of significant amounts of AIs in the marketplace. Maybe if you can start with just sharing a couple of trends, one or two each, then we'll get into the meat of the one that you'd like to focus on today.
Yeah, actually, if you don't mind, if I can jump in there. So first of all, how one can try and find this the competitive edge and dig into efficiencies in one's organization, trying to improve your bottom line. That's definitely one. AI automation is playing a huge role. Something one definitely need to look into. Some very interesting things going around AI specifically. But yeah, I think there's some people out there like Mo from ex-Google talking about the more the I want to prepare for AI and the legislative type of approaches that kind of need to get in place for AI. So yeah, Chris, you wanna highlight some other nice trends you've seen?
Yeah, so I mean, the notion of AI is very interesting, and guys like Mo, as you mentioned, as well as Elon Musk, and these guys, that's at the core of AI and AI development. There are quite a couple of interesting things, specifically looking at how do we interact with the machine and the benefits we can get from that. And that leverages us nicely into the world of automation, right? Getting access to different types of systems, pulling data so that we make that data relevant in our service management practice, as well as how do we then automate that data and what are the net effects or the outcomes of what we can automate and how that benefits the business, having a direct impact on the bottom line, as Dewald always likes to say, the bottom line. Very important.
Impact on the bottom line. I would imagine that's where you'd like to start our podcast series. Tell us a bit more about the trend that you're really keen for us to focus on today.
Thank you, Dennis. I'd like us to kick off with how enterprise service management can impact your bottom line and what gains you can get there.
Excellent. So maybe you can share with us a key question that I find in the industry and certainly in financial services companies that I spend time with is improving the bottom line. Service management has quite a steep price point. Once you've gone from licensing, acquisition, implementation, support, how do organizations use service management, or how does it help them improve their bottom line? Maybe, Dewald, you can pick up on that for us.
Yeah, Dennis. So first of all, I think it's a bit of a loaded question, and I think that's a nice thing about the podcast series, which is going to follow. We're going to unpack, all the different approaches and areas how one go about it. I do think it's important to understand really where this question really comes from, and it really stems from good products, high quality products and services is a given in the industry, and all the legacy loyalty one have had in the past, that really is not really applicable anymore. And really, what one can do is try to leverage your enterprise service management to get into the detail of the compounded effect of the efficiencies you can generate in your organization. And that really will kind of set you up and springboard yourself to compete better in the market and to really impact your bottom line.
Chris, in the same vein, a lot of organizations are dealing with tech debt. They sometimes question the efficacy of their service management investments. They understand potentially that there's complementary tool sets that work together with service management. How can organizations leverage technology to improve their service management practices?
Oh, thanks, Dennis. And that's a great question. And sort of sadly, you hit the nail on the head for some of the topics that we want to discuss as part of the series. So stay tuned for more on that. However, we do believe, adoption is key to these technologies and to the practice around them. And this will drive improvement continuous improvement, which is important. You need to have a focus on continuous improvement across the technology stack. But more to the point would be, to drive adoption and to drive those efficiencies would be personalization. Right? We are human beings at the end of the day interacting with the system. We want to feel comfortable. We want to be relatable. We want to relate to the systems, the platforms, and the concepts that we are pushing through as part of the system. As part of that personalization, we need to make the data relevant. So we need to give the data context, and this is what we achieve via integration. Getting the right data, getting data that people understand, so that everyone talks the same language. And then once we've got those two in place, then we can start looking at automation, and this is where we get real efficiency, and this is where we can get to the nuts and bolts of how do we save money at the end of the day, and how organizations can affect the bottom line. And then with this, there's an emerging trend that's coming that enables a rapid shift of all of these technologies into the topics. And one of them, would be when we start talking about AI and all those types of things. From a technical debt, a lot of organizations, historically, ITSM or service management or enterprise service management platforms are sort of known for technical debt, right? Once we've implemented, we start manipulating the processes, we start building things out, and then, we can't upgrade, so we start losing the value of the investment, and that debt over that cost starts increasing. And if we look at the current trends, which would be one of the biggest trends in the space that organizations help organizations, is the low-code, no-code platforms, which makes things easier, as well as gives us, Dewald and me and some of our colleagues, some fun playtime. We build up all sorts of weird and wonderful applications for our customers without affecting, the investment, without having a negative impact on future upgrades and these type of things.
I would imagine that there's some challenges with the client enterprise architects being somewhat suspect around these new technologies. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so if you don't mind if I jump in there, Dennis. So architects is less of the problem, I think. I think organizations in general being the biggest enemies. By far, I'm going to be naughty now. But the biggest problem with any system in this space really is about adoption. And adoption is not something you're going to outsource. It's something you need to take ownership of. So adoption is by far the biggest reason why people struggle with these type of deployments, and really any deployment. And that kind of really gets worse when people have got over-engineered complex processes, and sometimes the initial point of departure is a complete misalignment on an organization's current maturity model. So one, you really need to take a step back, be clear on where you want to go, and create a journey which is aligned with your maturity, and then take ownership of it. You need to adopt, else this technical debt, which we spoke about, is just going to keep on biting you.
I think you're absolutely right. That's the ultimate challenge, isn't it? It's like we've got our mobile phones in front of us with 60 apps, but we've only adopted 5 or 6. And so much functionality in these systems that just lies fallow, doesn't it? How do you, as UnlimitIT, help organizations overcome these challenges? Dewald, if you can expand on that just a little bit.
So well, first of all, one need to address adoption. And as I mentioned, the most important thing is to have this clear picture of your journey. Then it's imperative to understand, lay out lack of a better word, a maturity roadmap. This is where you are. This is where you need to get, and these are top of the steps you need to take to get there. One important thing that people kind of tend to forget, they're so focused on what they want to try and achieve, they're not mindful of ongoing change within the market, So you need to be mindful of changes. What are your customers' requirements change? How the market, like disruptive things, big opportunities like AI, which that brings, and then getting back to what can assist you from an adoption perspective is what we've seen work very well is create from your business strategy themes, business themes. You take these themes into the various areas in your organization and let them, all those functional areas, come up with ways how they align to this business strategy via themes. And that's within enterprise service management, there's a very nice way how one can address and drive and manage ideation, and that typically kind of feeds and create metrics for one later on to try and see how successful your strategy was and your adoption.
Excellent. So I would imagine when you start to talk about themes, your client environment often would ask for help with frameworks, and frameworks tend to be shortcuts for the brain. If you get given a canvas and it is a useful canvas, folk can fill that in quite easily or adopt it much easier. What are some of the benefits of adopting a service management framework like ITIL? Is it important to follow a particular framework? And what sort of perspective should we take on frameworks? Chris, could you pick up on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'll take that one. So I think, well, what we have seen in the past with our engagement with a lot of customers, the problem with frameworks is frameworks are more than often seen as prescriptive, right? We need to follow it to the letter. We need to make sure if the book of, let's say, service operations says something, we will follow only that. The problem with that is it doesn't always fit into the organization or the business objectives. At UnlimitIT, we say, we've got a catchphrase that Dewald and I came up with. We say, behind every business objective, there's a process, and that process is supported by a workflow. And the focus and the market and the customers of organizations differ. How they do things differ. So a framework is not a fit for everyone. So a framework such as ITIL, and there are multiple others like ESM and on these type of things, is to give you guidance on what is it that the larger community in service management has seen, and you use that as a framework to fit into your organization. So almost like a blueprint, but then you inherently define what works for your business. It is important to make sure that it works for your business. Otherwise, you're just giving additional red tape, which everyone's going to look for a bypass, which is definitely not what we want to do, because it's all about the experience. And when we talk about experiences, we need to take two things into consideration. We need to take into consideration our customer experience, whether it's internal users or external customers. We need to take that into consideration, but as well as our own staff, our employees. Right? If we are going to create a prescriptive flow or a prescriptive process that is so heavy, they will find bypasses, which negates the whole point of defining these processes. So it's good to use frameworks as a guidance or a guide of good practice, but you need to adjust it and make it work for you to get the real benefit out of it.
UnlimitIT plays on a global scale. Would you recommend adopting a global framework or country-specific or company-specific frameworks? What are your thoughts on that from these frameworks being geographically transportable?
So I think, so first of all, if we just talk about enterprise service management, or more specifically, let's talk about ITSM. It is supported by well-known frameworks like ITIL. I want to go back to frameworks are great. The telco industry have got something similar, but at the end of the day, frameworks are there as a good point of departure. It assists with governance, risk management, and these type of things. But really, what is more important, if you do, as soon as you've got a framework which you like to leverage off, is to understand, where's your maturity model in this, and you need to obviously align your business strategy, your themes, like what we kind of mentioned previously, needs to kind of needs to find its way through those frameworks and actually work for you. Frameworks sometimes also do lead towards, if you ahead of your maturity, to something which is too complex for people in your organization to adopt, and then you sit with the adoption problem again. Framework's very important. It does create a good point of departure, and not only frameworks, but some industries are very specific around certain standards regarding compliancy and so forth.
Dewald, I would imagine a finance director agreeing to a significant investment, or a business leader agreeing to a significant investment in the software, business operations investing their time in getting the implementation, and ops driving adoption, all takes a lot of investment. How do we ensure that implementing service management is sustainable in the long run?
Dennis, so I think from an FT or C-level type of view, so one, the cost associated to the technology is one thing, and it's really wanting to kind of more align with, it's an investment in your business culture, and how this business culture on ever expanding and dynamically kind of adapt to the change, would be more the key. So sustainability is going to come more from driving the culture in your organization from an enterprise service management perspective.
We've covered a lot of bases at a 50,000 foot level, and I'm sure we're going to delve deeper as we progress through our series around service management. Chris, what are some of the common myths in this particular field and your area of expertise?
Thanks, Dennis. And that's a bit of a pet peeve that both Dewald and I have, is if you talk about enterprise service management or even IT service, ITSM, IT services management, typically the first thing people will go to card is, it is a ticketing system, or it's only a help desk system. That is a function of service management. The practice covers so much more than just pure play ticketing or just a help desk. If you want to be technical, and we spoke about frameworks earlier, service desk or help desk is a function of the service management practice. But organizations at its core, service management is about managing our customers' experience and the expectation. And that covers so much more than just a ticket. I mean, it just covers so much more than just a plain ticket. There is so much gains, so much potential business impact and business value that you can derive from service management. And if you are stuck in the pattern of thought that it is a ticketing system, you're going to lose out on so much potential value. It is unbelievable.
Absolutely, I would agree. Guys, this has been very, very interesting. We've got a lot to look forward to. What can we look forward to in our next podcast delivery?
So Dennis, I think the question that really comes to mind, with so much clarity on, what one should do, and with all the technology out there that one can assist, the question kind of arises is, why do we then on an ongoing basis, our customers have got this sense of wanting afterwards?
So you're going to address that very, very concisely and succinctly. I think that would be so exciting. Yes, you're absolutely right. I was in a session yesterday with a group of folk who had done a recent implementation, and the wanting needs are just there all the time. You talk to the ops folk, and they're coming from a position of not knowing what they don't know. And that's where your expertise comes in. And how do guys find you?
Well, first of all, I think we're not social butterflies on social media, but we are quite active on LinkedIn. So you guys can get all of us on LinkedIn. Obviously, we've got a website as well, but LinkedIn is where all the action happen, and this is where we can find the next podcast as well.
Excellent. I think that would be very, very useful. Dewald du Plessis, Chris Visagie, thank you. I think you have honored the time perfectly. I am certainly looking forward to the next session and unpacking more around service management. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis.